A very good morning to all my students. Today we will be discussing about the subject engineering thermodynamics, and the topic that will be discussed is a portion from module 1, that is the basic of engineering thermodynamics. Let me clarify to all of you first of all that in engineering thermodynamics it is divided into two parts. The first part will deal with the basics of thermodynamics, the first law, the second law, the third law and the zeroth law. Apart from that, there will be heat and work interactions, and then we will be having some applications of this thermodynamics on various devices. For example, a gas turbine, a compressor and a boiler, etc. So to start with, we will start with the module 1, and the topic is basic concepts of thermodynamics. Now, what is thermodynamics? Before you learn or you start to teach any subject, you should first know why should I read the subject. What is the significance of reading that subject? And when it comes to thermodynamics, it has got a wide range of applications in the field of mechanical engineering. So every mechanical engineering should first of all know why they should study thermodynamics. Now the definition says that this subject is about the conversion of energy and the laws governing it, in particular conversion of heat into work and work into heat. So basically, when you teach thermodynamics or when you read thermodynamics, it is all the dealings of various forms of energy. There are two forms of energy, heat and work. The conversion of heat into work and the conversion of work into heat is what we deal in thermodynamics. And to speak in other words, the thermodynamic is the study of three E's, that is equilibrium, energy and entropy. And let me clarify to you all, my dear students, this equilibrium, energy and entropy is nothing but the derivatives from zeroth law of thermodynamics, first law of thermodynamics and second law of thermodynamics. And when I say that the thermodynamics is the study of three E's, that is equilibrium, energy and entropy, I also say that the thermodynamics basics is the study of zeroth law, first law and second law of thermodynamics. Now, coming again to what is the significance and why we should all read thermodynamics. Now, all of you have studied in +2 the law of conservation of energy. It says that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. That means we cannot create energy by any means. Energy can never be created. So what does it mean? It means that the available amount of energy that is with us is going to be finished in the due course of time. If not today, tomorrow, if not tomorrow after 10 years, if not after 10 years, after 100 years. So we have got a limited source of energy, and that limited source of energy will be going to end maybe in near future or maybe after 100 years. So all the scientists and all the designers should focus on how to utilize these available sources of energy effectively and efficiently, so that whatever the amount of energy available with us, that will be used for a longer duration of time. How can it be done? It can only be done if we increase the efficiency or the effectiveness of utilizing the available resources. For example, if you take a Bajaj Chetak scooter, which your parents might be riding before 30 years, it was giving a mileage of around 30-35 per liter. But if today you see bikes like Bajaj 5-star or TVS scooters, they give a mileage of around 90 to 95 kilometers per liter. What does it mean? It means that before 30 years, with utilizing 1 liter of petrol, we are able to run only for 30 kilometers, whereas today, utilizing the same 1 liter of petrol, we are able to travel 90 kilometers. That is why I say that the available amount of energy will be utilized more effectively, more efficiently, and so that it can be utilized over a longer duration of time, so that the scientists will have longer duration available with them to think about the alternate sources of energy. Now many people are coming with alternate sources of energy like nuclear energy, wave energy, tidal energy, renewable energy, etc., etc. So this process of utilizing or increasing the efficiency or effectiveness of these engineering devices so that the available amount of energy with us will be lasting for a longer duration of time is what is the need of thermodynamics. This thermodynamics is the study of all those laws are like first law, zeroth law, second law, which will help us to analyze the thermodynamic systems so that ultimate goal will be to increase the effectiveness or the efficiency of engineering devices. Next, we will see the next slide. As I told you that there are 4 laws of thermodynamics: zeroth law, first law, second law, and third law. The zeroth law is nothing but what is deal with the equilibrium of temperature. The first law is what that is deals with energy. The second law is what that deals with entropy, and the third law, not very popular as of now, deals with again the perfect bodies. So these first 3 laws, this stands for zeroth law stands for equilibrium, first law stands for energy, second law stands for entropy. So thermodynamic is basically the law that is dealing with equilibrium, energy and entropy, which covers all the 3 laws of thermodynamics. Now, how do you classify the thermodynamics? The thermodynamics can be classified into 2 types. One is called classical thermodynamics, one is called statistical thermodynamics. It is also called statistical thermodynamics is also called microscopic nature of thermodynamics, and classical thermodynamics is called macroscopic approach of thermodynamics. Now, what is the difference between these 2 approaches of thermodynamics? First of all, when we say macroscopic approach of thermodynamics, it takes into account the effect of many forces in a particular system in an average and give us the value. But when we want to calculate or go to the atomic level, go to the molecular level and analyze the system, it is called statistical thermodynamics or microscopic approach of thermodynamics. For example, what is macroscopic thermodynamics? How do you define as pressure? Pressure is defined as force per unit area. That is, rate of change of momentum per unit area is called pressure. So here what happens? We suppose we will be having a system. We will be having, suppose we will be having a vessel. In a vessel, suppose is subjected to some amount of heat and it contains some amount of gas inside it, having lot of molecules. So when the vessel is heated, these molecules will strike these walls of this container at various places and at various forces. Let us assume that they strike with forces F1, F2, F3 and so on. So when I say pressure, pressure is defined as the force per unit area. That is, the force exerted by all these molecules starting from 1, 2, 3, etc. per unit area. This is called the pressure. So here we are taking all the forces and the average we calculate as a force. We are not taking the force exerted by each molecule and the pressure exerted by each molecule. So this pressure is defined as it is a macroscopic property. Macroscopic property. So this macroscopic property is nothing but the sum of or the average of many molecules in a system taken at an average. But in macroscopic approach or in statistical thermodynamics, we have to go to the molecular level. we have to go to the molecular level and analyze the every molecular effect, and we have to put their values instead of putting it as an average. I'll give an example. Suppose you are looking at a match or cricket match maybe, and you tell that the score, suppose somebody asks you what is the score, you tell that the current score of India is 239 in the loss of 5 wickets. So the score of India is 239 for 5 wickets. This is a macroscopic value that you are giving to us. What is the average score per batsman? You can just calculate it by dividing this score by dividing number of wickets. This is a macroscopic approach, an average view of how much the Indian team scored in 50 overs. But suppose somebody wants to go to the molecular level or to the myriad level or to the small levels, detail levels, then you will be having the score of every individual batsman. Dhoni 57, maybe Sachin Tendulkar 67, maybe Virat Kohli 12 out of how many balls, how many fours, how many zeros, how many boundaries, how many dot balls. All these details when I give you, that is nothing but the macroscopic approach of thermodynamics, because I gave you the every individual batsman details with every ball that he has hit. But when I want to know the score of India as an average, it is nothing but 239 for 5. This is nothing but the macroscopic approach of thermodynamics. So to very simple macroscopic approach, all the thermodynamics values, all the values that you calculate like force, pressure, volume, temperature, density, all these thermodynamic values that we calculate are macroscopic in nature, whereas microscopic in nature are the study of detailed molecular level of study. We have to go to the molecular level and analyze the force or the pressure exerted by each and individual molecule inside a system. Next, the thermodynamics, we will discuss what is a system, what is a surrounding, and what is a boundary. Okay, what is a system? All engineering devices components are referred as a system. A system is defined as a quantity of matter or a region in space on which our attention is focused. So what is a system? There are two things you can note down here. It is either a quantity of matter or a region in space. Both of them are defined as a system. So now the question is, in which case we should consider as a quantity of matter, and in which case we should consider it as a region in space. Suppose a system, you take a vessel, same example I am giving, it contains around 1 liter of water and subjected to heat from an external source. Okay, now I want to know how the system behaves, or what is the temperature increase of this 1 liter of water when the heat is supplied to it. How the temperature increases when the heat is supplied to it. Now my concentration is on this 1 liter of water. 1 liter of water. My concentration is on this 1 liter of water, which is nothing but a certain quantity. So I should first of all focus on this 1 liter of water to determine the behavior, the increase in temperature, pressure, volume of this 1 liter of water as and when the heat energy is supplied into it. So my attention is now focused on a certain quantity of matter. Similarly, here instead of 1 liter of water, I can take 5 kgs of air, 5 kgs of air, and then subject it into a heat source from an external agency. In that case, my attention is to study the behavior of this 5 kg of air, which is again a quantity on which my attention should be focused. my attention should be focused. What is the change in the thermodynamic characteristics of this 5 kg of air when heat is supplied into it? In both the cases, it is either a certain quantity of matter, here also it is a certain quantity of matter. It is defined as a system. The next part, what is that? It is either a quantity of matter or a region in space. Sometimes what happens, the system cannot just be defined, sometimes the system cannot just be defined as a certain quantity of matter, rather we should consider it as a region in space. For example, you have got, I'll give a small example. All of you will be having a scooty or a cycle or a bike, and sometimes it got punctured. Sometimes your cycle, in your childhood days, many times your cycle got punctured. So when your cycle got punctured, what happens? What the cycle repair shop does? He will put pressure into the tube and he will put the tube inside the water, isn't it? He will put the tube inside the water. Then he will rotate the tube to see at which point the bubbles are coming. At which point the bubbles are coming. The point at which the bubbles are coming, it means that there is a leakage at that particular region, that particular place, and accordingly he put a patch on that particular area. So here the cycle repair shop doesn't analyze any particular mass of air inside the tube. Rather, he starts on keep on rotating the tube in order to analyze the portion or the region in space at which the bubbles coming out, so that is the place where there is a puncture, and that is the place where he need to put the patch. Okay, so here it is a region in space. Similarly, suppose you have got a pipeline in your kitchen or on your toilet, and somewhere it got a leakage. The water flows in and flows out. So when you ask your plumber to see the pipe and repair it, what he does? He will analyze the portion at which there is a leakage, at which this portion he analyzes. Here it is not a quantity of matter like 1 liter of water, 5 kg of, no. Some amount of water gets in, some amount of water gets out. We are not worried about that quantity of matter. Rather, we are worried about the region in space where there is a leakage. The region in space where there is a leakage. That particular space must be analyzed in order to make a study, in order to sort out the problem. So, as it is defined here, the system is a finite quantity of matter or a region in space. Sometimes the system is defined as a quantity of matter, and sometimes system is defined as the region in space. But in both the cases, it is a system. When we discuss about the further classifications of the system, like open system, closed system, isolated system, at that point of time we will know why it is called a quantity of matter, in which case it is called a region in space. Okay. Now, next part is what is surrounding. Very simple. Anything external to the system is called the surrounding. There is a system and something outside the system. So anything that is not included in the system and external to the system is called a surrounding. And the system and surrounding are separated by a boundary called system boundary. It is an interface between system and surrounding. System and surrounding interact through boundary. Boundary can be real or imaginary. Boundary can be fixed or moving. So what is a boundary? A boundary is something that divides a system from a surrounding. Suppose here I am teaching a class of 60 students. My attention is to find out that whether the 60 students, you people to whom I am teaching, whether you people are noting down my points, whether you people are listening to me carefully or not. So my attention should be focused on you 60 students. So these 60 students become the system for me. Whereas what happens outside this classroom is not a matter of concern to me. What happens in the cool parlor, what happens in the canteen, what happens in the boundary, what happens in Gangapada, what happens in Khordha, Bhubaneswar, Odisha, Delhi, whole world. Everything I am not concerned about. So they are everything surrounding for me. My system is you 60 students. You 60 students are my students. And what divides you 60 students from the rest of the universe? This classroom boundary. This classroom boundary is one what is separating you people from the rest of the world. That is called surrounding. So this is a system. Anything outside the system is called surrounding, and the system and surrounding together is called the universe. The system and surrounding together is called the universe. So there is a system, there is a surrounding, and there is a universe. So the interaction between system and surrounding, the system and surrounding can be interacted based on the type of interaction. The systems, as I told you already, I have discussed. I will discuss closed system, open system, and isolated system. In the meantime, the system and surrounding can interact through two kinds of energy transfer. There are two types of transfer. One is called the heat transfer, and another is called the work transfer. So okay, that is the energy transfer. One more ways of interaction of system and surrounding is mass transfer. So there is a mass transfer and there is a energy transfer. The energy transfer again is split into heat transfer and work transfer. Next we will see the classification of system. As I told you, the systems are classified into three types: open system, closed system, and isolated system. So what is a closed system? It's a very simple. No mass transfer occurs, but only the transfer of energy occurs. Just a simple example is given here. If you see this, this is the boundary which is movable, which moves to and fro. This is the system boundary. Okay, this is a boundary which is movable, it is not fixed. Okay, some amount of gas is there inside the system. Okay, so when the piston goes towards the inner dead center, or what we call as the top dead center, the gas amount volume decreases and the pressure increases. Okay, so no mass transfer occurs. So in this case, whatever the amount of gas inside the system, whether the piston goes this way or the other way, the amount of mass doesn't change, but the energy transfer is there. But because whenever the piston is moved inside towards the inner dead center, the amount of work done on the piston is always positive. This work energy is transferred to the gas, and the gas is becoming more excited. Its pressure increases. So there is an energy transfer, but there is no mass transfer. This is a closed system. Okay, so closed system is one in which no mass transfer occurs, but only energy transfer occurs. For example, one more example I can give. Suppose there is a closed vessel. I will take a closed vessel. Okay, it's a closed vessel which is having some amount of maybe air, and it is heated. So when you heat the closed vessel air, the air gets heated. It means that the energy transfer is there. The energy transfer is there. Energy transfer will be there because the heat energy crosses this boundary and hits the air. The heat energy crosses the boundary and hits the air. So energy transfer is there, but since the vessel is closed, the air cannot go outside the system boundary, so mass transfer is not there. So closed system is one in which there is no mass transfer, but there is always a energy transfer. What is an open system? Very simple. Open system is one, it is open to both mass transfer and energy transfer. Closed system, energy transfer is there, but no mass transfer. Open system, both energy and mass transfer is there. For example, this again I will take this example. If you take this example, I will take this region in space as a system. When I analyze, the fluid enters, the fluid leaves. So mass enters the system because this dotted line is a system. This dotted line is a system. So mass enters the system, mass comes out of the system. So mass transfer is there. Whenever the mass enters with some velocity and coming out with some other velocity, definitely energy transfer is also there associated with mass. So it is an open system. Mass transfer is there, also energy transfer is there. So when I defined you the system, I told you that it is either a quantity of matter or a region in space. That quantity of matter is nothing but the closed system, and that region in space is nothing but the open system. So region in space is open system, quantity of matter is closed system. Both when it is together, it is called a system. That is why I defined it as a open system, closed system, and finally an isolated system. An isolated system is one in which there is neither mass transfer nor energy transfer. For example, I will take a thermoflask. I will put some amount of hot tea inside the flask. Okay. If you see, the tea remains hot inside the flask for a longer duration of time, maybe for 6 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours maximum, because it is not perfectly insulated. If I will take a perfectly insulated thermoflask so that there is no energy transfer, then the amount of tea that I pour inside, the same temperature will be maintained across all time. Its temperature will never decrease because it is perfectly insulated. That means the energy transfer is not there. Since the thermoflask is closed, the tea is also not coming out of that, then that also is there, no mass transfer. So a perfectly insulated closed thermoflask is an example of an isolated system in which there is neither mass transfer nor energy transfer. Similarly, the universe, which consists of both the system and surrounding, is also called as an isolated system, because nothing goes out of the universe, neither in the form of mass nor in the form of energy. So universe is also always considered as a isolated system. Okay, our entire universe is considered as a single system, that is an isolated system. An isolated system is one in which there is neither mass transfer nor energy transfer. So system classification, broadly 3 types: open system, closed system, isolated system. Open system, open to both mass and energy flow. Closed system, open to energy flow, not open to mass flow. Isolated system, neither open to mass flow nor open to energy flow. System defined as the quantity of matter or a region in space. Quantity of matter, it is nothing but a closed system. Region in space, it is nothing but a open system. Previous to that, macroscopic approach, microscopic approach. Macroscopic approach is an average of molecules, and microscopic is studying the individual molecules. And previous to that, we have studied what is thermodynamics and how we deal with the study of thermodynamics. Thank you so much. We will continue in the next class.